What is going on, Wolfpack Nation? Welcome back to Tuffy Talk live show. We are so glad you guys chose to join us here this weekend, and it's been a pretty bumpy week, I think, for NC Athletics. It's been a really big high note, which we'll touch on later. And but it's been a weekend, guys. It's been a week for NC Athletics, I would say. Michael, Greg, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's the best way to put it. Had the highest of highs and some pretty low lows with some teams. So
yeah,
we'll get into it.
Yeah. I think having said all that, guys, we're going to get into some good NC State content here, but want to give you an update. Obviously, you don't see Leighton here. I think he's at the NC State hockey game. Yep. But the other part knows our other team member Mackenzie. Everybody knows that she's been talking about how her dad's had some health struggles, and Greg had some update on her dad from Mackenzie just a little while ago. So, Greg, take it away.
Yeah, wish it was a little better. She reached out to me. Her dad did have a pretty significant setback this afternoon, and unfortunately, they had to do an emergency procedure. The procedure sounds like it went okay. He's not out of the woods yet, so they're definitely asking for a lot of prayers. They're hoping that he's able to fully come out of it, and they can just have some great more memories with them tonight and continuing on in the very future. Like Jimmy V says, we don't give up here at Wolfpack Nation. So Mackenzie, we're definitely thinking about you and the whole Blackwater family, and I'm rocking my Chad's pack today, and I try to wear it as often as I can. So Kens and Carrie, we're thinking about you guys. We just hope that everything continues to work in a positive direction, and the first step was the surgery. And I'm just kind of rambling because I'm kind of lost at words, but we love you guys. So the whole Wolfpack Nation's behind you. So everyone that follows Kens on Twitter, if you've reached out, she's definitely not ignoring you. She's just going through a lot, and the family's gotten a lot of messages of encouragement. So I know they'll get to you guys as soon as possible. But everyone loves you guys. Thanks.
Yeah, well, I'm glad we had the update there. For those who can reach out to Mackenzie to encourage her and her mom and her dad, please do so. I mean, that'd be tough for anybody. So any level of encouragement and community they can have come around them in this part of their lives right now is a really big deal. And it does not go take it for granted, I'm sure. So be sure to reach out to them guys and encourage them, let you know that you are thinking of them, that you're praying for them. Even not half heart. I know that's an expression just to say, hey, I'm praying for you, but they need your prayers. So be sure to do that, guys. So having said that, I think we'll start off with the first off, I know it's Thanksgiving week, guys. So I saw some comments here about happy Thanksgiving. And I'm really excited about eating some turkey this weekend, or this week, I guess. I already had a start off for that on Saturday with some family. You guys got any big Thanksgiving plans, Michael, Greg?
Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, just hanging out with family back in North Carolina.
Yeah.
We will be going over to my wife's family's house here locally, and then my father-in-law has a 5:30 deadline to get us on the road down to Raleigh because there's a football game I hear on Friday.
I heard about that.
Yeah, so I told him the turkey better be ready on time. If not, we'll take it to go, so we can get down 95 to the good old Pines.
Yeah, that's good. That's awesome. Yeah, I see some comments here. I think Leighton's in the chat as Tuffy Talk. He's like, Macon didn't get the red shirt, black hat memo, and I'm usually the one who observes those kinds of things. But I will zip up my collar a little bit taller today just because of that. And then you guys can see Mackenzie there, so she can see your comments there. So I'm off of that too. But I see Colby's got Turkey Day and Bills football. I think the matchups on is it Bills versus Lions, or is it Bills and Lions, or is it? I know the Lions always play.
Or the Cowboys, right?
Yeah, right, or the Cowboys. And I think the Pats play somebody.
I know they have a night game now, so maybe that's a night game.
Yeah. I'll have to go look up while we're talking here. But some good football and a good family time. Really enjoy it. Don't take those moments for granted. Being able to do that. let your family know how much you love them this Thanksgiving. But there's also, we talk about football, there's also some good college football. And for NC State, big matchup coming up this Friday, the day after Christmas. And we're talking about the Wolfpack versus the Tar Heels, right? NC State versus UNC, red versus blue. I always think it's interesting they have this matchup on a Friday rather than a Saturday, and it's been that way for like the last few years. But it's fine. I mean, I don't really care.
Yeah.
You got what? Yeah, go ahead, Michael.
I mean, I don't care. I know Doran talked about it before. I think somebody asked him in the last press conference about him and Mac Brown have both said it's dumb to play it on a Friday because it takes away from high school football that's going on. It's the playoffs right now in high school football in North Carolina. So it takes away a little bit from that for both ways, like recruits coming to see the game and coaches going to be able to see high school recruits in the playoffs and stuff. But I mean, as a fan, I don't really care, right? It's a holiday. Most of the time you're not working.
I think the argument against it though is that it's a Friday, it's a high school football. They're getting the playoffs a little bit. So I know Doran's been a big advocate for high school football and having recruits be able to come and watch games on, if you can't really do that on Friday. They got to worry about their own game. So, he didn't talk about that. Hell, I don't think I've heard him mention it this year. I know he's mentioned in the past, but
I was just going to mention too, like, I mean, how many parents have their kids in college and in high school, right? Like, for instance, the Thomases, like, where do you split your time at?
Right.
So there's a lot more to it. So I don't really, as someone who doesn't follow North Carolina high school football, I don't really have a dog in the fight. I do enjoy Saturdays though. I have a T-shirt that says Saturdays are for tailgating, and there's a reason for that. So I enjoy the Saturdays personally.
It is nice though to be able to watch the rest of the rivalry games on Saturday.
You get your game out of the way, and hey, it's going to be a primetime game, right, on ABC. 3:30. So the whole country will be able to watch it.
3:30 ABC.
If you're having if you're on California Pacific Coast time and you have to get lunch, you take Thanksgiving on a noon 12:30. That's a good time. But before we get to the Carolina game, and I see a lot of comments here, I like in-game alphas. I'm allergic to Chapel Hill, so I like that. But let's go back to the NC State versus Louisville game. And, man, I don't think anybody really I know McKenzie said we're going undefeated at the beginning of the season. So, but I think us guys here had State losing this game even preseason, just because I actually thought we would have won all our games potentially to this point and then have lost the game in Louisville, especially when you're down to QB3, QB4. No matter who you are, you're probably not winning too many football games. So State lost this game 10-25, and it was actually close, I would say, at the fourth quarter. Greg, you were there. What was it like?
There was a lot of empty seats. So the crowd noise wasn't an issue. You're right. It ended up, the final score wasn't indicative of the game because about halfway through it was a 1-score game. Then we went on fourth around midfield and didn't get it. And then 3-4 plays later they punch it in, and that basically just ends any hope of a comeback. Look, as crazy as this is going to sound, as bad as we played, we still had a chance in that game.
Right.
Like you said, third, fourth string quarterback. I don't know. Like if you start Philly in that game, maybe things are differently or, end up different. We couldn't stop the run to save our lives. That was it. And then the fourth play again, another fourth down play calling thing. And I'm sure we'll break it down again. I didn't have a problem with going for it. It was the play call. And I heard Doran's, I was going to say excuse, but more explanation. I don't know. Like you line up and just go for it. Like you don't need to get cute. But.
I mean, I'll go and say that. I was listening to Inside Pack Sports podcast, and they were having a friend of the show, Philip Danford, on there, talking and breaking down that play call. And they were saying, a lot of fans have had this issue, and the way he broke it down, and I won't give him details. Definitely go check out that podcast, guys. But he was saying State had some plays, similar play design on previous earlier parts of the game where they had barely gotten it, and this play call was just a little bit of a different look out of a similar formation. So, I didn't hate the play call. I actually kind of thought that when Michael Allen got to the outside there on the top side of the far side of the field, that if he just missed a blocker, he actually may have had a lot of green space in front of him to run. I didn't hate it. He just didn't get the play there. And again, it wasn't. I remember thinking, man, I really feel like they should pass here. I think it was like 8-9 minutes left in the fourth or something like that, and thought there's plenty of time, but I don't know. You're down a score or two there. You kind of need to try to get points. I don't blame Doran, but
for me, and I hadn't gone back and watched the replay, so like I was really like at field level, so I wasn't up to kind of see how it broke out. My issue is you need to go north south, not east west, and I thought maybe he went too far west before cutting it up in there. Like maybe if he takes another half step and then cuts it up in, maybe. Obviously we didn't have the edge sealed off, and he wasn't able to break a tackle, but I don't know. It's frustrating. But what were your thoughts? And again, I don't know if we're ready to break this down or talk about other things, but what were your thoughts on Finley? Do you think he should have started the whole game? Like what were you guys at with that?
I mean, it's tough because Doran was saying he hadn't run the offense all season in practice. He was running scout teams, so he was running other teams. So I don't know. I didn't have a problem with it because he was going to play anyways. I think I don't know if those first two, him being in on the first two series, would have made a bunch of a difference. I mean, like Louisville's got a good defense.
They do.
I don't think it really mattered.
So was it the third series that he ended up coming in on?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was a little later than that.
I thought they did like 2-2 or something like that.
Yeah. Which is what they did with Chambers and Morris in the Syracuse game and the Virginia Tech game. And then whichever QB looked better, which in Syracuse it was Chambers, so they kept him in the rest of the game. Against Virginia Tech, it was Morris, and they kept him in the rest of the game.
Here's what I'll say. I don't know if they should have played or not played Chambers. But I will say I can tell you who looked better, and it was Finley. And I think it was actually, it should be a positive thing for State and the fans to see your QB4 really. He didn't look half bad. He didn't look great. I'm not saying he looked good because he didn't grade out. He didn't grade out very well at all in PFF grading for this game. In fact, it was pretty low. But there was some plays there throwing the ball that you're not going to really see Jack Chambers doing a whole lot of. And I thought that gave State the opportunity, the ability to open up the playbook a little bit more with a Ben Finley. Whereas Jack Chambers, you're just seemingly limited with what you can do and you feel comfortable with. So I know guys here, you guys are commenting Chambers equals trash, Ben Orbans, in games like Chambers can't even freaking throw.
He was making the right reads. He was just missing the throws. He was not accurate.
I will say it was windy as all get out there, though. Like it was. You could definitely tell on some of the kicks and the punts were affected by the wind. My face was like that evening. My face was as red as the shirt I'm wearing. I got a lot of wind burn, so it was not. It was definitely not the greatest conditions. And let's be real. We're down to third and fourth string or whatever wide receivers out there, minus Thayer. There's guys out there that probably haven't had a lot of experience. Minus Daryl Jones. I thought Daryl Jones in the last 3 weeks has really stepped up. He's had some nice games the last 3 weeks.
You know who your highest graded player was on offense for NC State this game?
Skill position or non-skilled?
It was a skill position guy. It was overall. It was overall the highest graded player, and I will give you a hint.
I would say Houston.
You would be wrong, actually. It was Julian Gray. He didn't play a ton of snaps. He didn't play a ton of snaps. But you had Zavala was one of your better graded players on the offensive line. But besides Gray, the more legitimate offensive player, and I see some comments here about this guy, was Michael Allen. He was your fourth highest graded offensive player.
He didn't get enough touches.
And his best grading aspect actually was pass blocking. I mean, his play in the passing game was a little bit better grading than his actual run play. But man, that guy has emerged, I think. And I don't think at this point you should care about the red shirt versus not red shirt. He is helping you win. So
I think he's burned it now.
Oh yeah, he's way burned.
Oh no, he's past that. But I mean, you get what I'm saying, like the argument of
earlier in the
should we
season,
keep it or should we not? Yeah. No, he looks legit. Like you should not have to worry about that. So, but no, what do you guys? For the fans here looking in the comments, but for Greg and Michael, what does Michael Allen's emergence mean for this offense right now? Because we're needing all the help we can get. But what are your thoughts on him?
I mean, it's just another dimension, right? Because we don't know coming in the future what our wide receivers are going to look like. So if you're strong in one area, it makes your other areas that much better because then you can feed off of that. With your play calling, it just opens up more dimensions in the offense. So, I don't know. I think we're going to be good, and then we've got some guys coming too. So I think we're going to be fine in that position.
Yeah. Yeah, I did too. I see some guys. I see, Bart bringing this up, and this is something that I think also too I've noticed lately, and it's been more of a downside kind of thing. I know Grant Gibson was out, and that really showed a lot, right? Because Dylan McMahon, I don't think looked so great at the center position, but our offensive line has been not that impressive lately. Even with Grant Gibson in the lineup, I think they've been pretty soft. Allowing a lot of pressure. Obviously, you saw it a lot with, how much Boston College they able to get. The fact that Boston College is able to get that kind of pressure to MJ Morris, it's not a good look. And you're seeing it with Wake Forest beforehand. You're still seeing it with Louisville last week. And Louisville is an underrated defense in the ACC. I don't think people realize that. Are they top 5? Yeah. Let me see. So rushing defense, they are
overall. I'm talking overall, but their rush defense was better than their pass. They were only giving up like 20 points a game. And they held
rushing defense. They're in the middle of the pack with ranked 8th. And then passing defense, they are 5th.
Right.
And I think they lead the conference in sacks and interceptions too.
I thought do they have more than us? Because we have like 16
they lead the conference in sacks, and they are second in interceptions. And part of that is because they had that huge game against Wake Forest, right?
Good point.
Okay. But
so to your point, go ahead. I was going to say to your point, they had 6 sacks against us.
Yeah.
No, sorry, 5 sacks, 6 tackles for loss, and 6 QB hurries. So
that's just a lot of pressure.
There's 12 plays right there.
Right. Yeah. That's just not a winning recipe there. But even then, you were down by 3 points, a field goal away from tying in the fourth quarter. I think that's where you're coming back to, Greg, about that fourth down call. But that's not where you win or lose the game. It's just it was critical. 5 sacks for Louisville to our 1. We threw the 1 interception
on the last play.
Had a fumble. Yeah. Possession time was about dead even, but I think a big split here. Rushing yards. Louisville had 192 rushing yards to our 77, and State was actually pretty good on third down efficiency. I would say they were 7 for 17.
They were 6 of 16, so that's even.
Yeah, and Louisville 6-16. One area I think that is surprising to me when you look at the stats is State out threw the ball against Louisville with a QB4. They had 214 passing yards to Louisville's 153. There's probably some more stats in there.
The big one for me, Macon, is your yards per rush attempt. 2.5 yards is what we averaged.
Right, and that's not going to get done.
They were over. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Mike.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, not when you're on that third and fourth string QB, you got to be able to run the ball.
Yeah, they had almost 5 yards to carry.
Now, let me ask you this, Greg. Was that kind of as a side note? Is that Louisville atmosphere overrated?
As far as like what are you
like the fan rowdiness there, the influence it has on the game? Like, man, this is a really intimidating environment.
Yeah, there were some really cool fans that were sitting behind me. They were super cool. And they told me that they could have come into that game with a win or two more, and it would have been about the same crowd. They have a very fickle, like, I think not to compare, but you could definitely say that they're a basketball school, not a football school, like that other team that we're going to be playing this week. They have to be, at the top of their game. They said like a few years ago when, Louisville and Clemson played, like you couldn't get a ticket there. But, if you think about it, we were a top 25 team, coming into their house, and there was nothing there. But the one fan did say, and I didn't really think about it. He goes, since we've joined the ACC, we don't have a football rival. And so for them to, drum up that support, he goes, basketball, absolutely. Like when Duke and Carolina comes in, like the place is rowdy, at the Yum Center, which by the way is the dumbest name for an arena. But he goes, football, they just struggle. So yeah, I don't think there's much to that, like you're getting at.
Yeah. Well, I guess for the fans here watching, if you got any questions for us and we can answer for you and discuss, let it, definitely ask them. Well, I know you're all commenting, but if you got any questions, shoot them. And one of them I see here, Jermaine, he's got a question on here. It says, does Dave get fired if we lose? And I think he's talking about the Carolina game. So, Michael, Greg, what are your thoughts on that? Does Dave Doran get fired if we lose this Carolina game?
No,
not a chance.
No.
Yeah. And what's your reasoning?
You want to go, Michael? Go ahead.
He's just, I don't know. Feel like he's proven enough that, he can bounce back from a bad year. I mean, we were 4-8 in 2019 and then went 8 wins in 2020, 7 of those being ACC games, and then 9 wins in 2021. A bowl, even if we lose to Carolina, a bowl win gets another 8-win season. There's just no chance. I'd say.
Yeah.
I think too his buyout's pretty big right now too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
he just signed a new contract the last year or two.
Left, so
yeah, I don't see Dave Doran getting let go at all. I don't think it'd be something. There's no way. It's just no way. I mean, especially after all the injuries that have happened now going into the end of the season. Look, your losses. Look at the losses this season. We had Clemson, we had Boston College, Louisville, and Syracuse. We had Syracuse the second loss of the season. Okay, so you lose on the road to the top 5 Clemson on College game day, and you were ranked 10th, but you lost there. You lost by 10 points on the road against a top 5 team. Okay, so then you go on the road and you lose to a then ranked number 18 Syracuse. I believe it was 18. And that was the first game we did not have Devin Leary, right? So we went in the game with a Jack Chambers versus MJ, and we had not even realized what we had in MJ at that point. So we're trying to win that game with Jack Chambers at quarterback, which has shown that's not a good recipe for success right now. He did get us to Louisville, the Florida State win, but that was also more, I think, Chris Dunn.
Without completing a pass. So let's not forget that.
Correct. It was just, I don't know if it was luck or what it was, but that was loss number 2. Third loss, Boston College. That was just an ugly loss. I mean, you didn't have, I don't know, that was just a bad loss. So maybe that's the one bad loss we've had. Okay, let's go with that one. And then you've had the loss now to Louisville, where again, you don't have now your QB1 or your QB2. So I think you can argue Morris is now your QB2 now that you've seen what we got in Chambers. So now you're back to QB3 and QB4, and you're ultimately playing QB4, and he's been on the scout team all year, and you have your biggest key players out. You don't have Grant Gibson. You don't have Devin Carter. You don't have Demi Sumo. You don't have Trent Penix. You don't have
Peyton Wilson.
Peyton Wilson. You don't have Tyler Baker Williams. I mean, key pieces you all starters that you just be named without, and some of them are captains, right? So, and again, no Devin Leary either. You're going to go that far. So, the only real loss I think was bad was Boston College,
Yeah.
right?
And you're a bad penalty call away from winning that game.
Right.
To you shouldn't have put yourself in that position, but
Right. I mean, I just think that the idea of Dave Doran being fired this season is not even around possibilities.
If anything, he would leave on his own accord, but I also don't see that happening.
And I am in the vote. I'm in the boat. If you guys maybe feel differently, but I think all three of us can easily say we are for Dave Doran being the head coach. Now, I think there's some questions though about people. I think more legitimately, what happens with Tim Beck? Do you keep Tim Beck? Do you lose Tim Beck? Now, Greg, Michael, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean,
Greg's saluting him away.
Yeah.
In the Navy, we used to, when we were dismiss someone, you would say post. So post Tim Beck.
Yeah. I mean, I think he almost saved his own job with MJ Morris's emergence in Virginia Tech and Wake, and then just laid an egg versus Boston College. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've, read different things, listened to some other podcasts, and, he was trying to get Beck to be the OC multiple times in his tenure here. I don't know. If it was up to me, yes, I would go with the new offensive coordinator. But if you're saying what is Doran going to do, I don't know. And he's the same OC that last year had us. We were top 30 in offense last year. Leary was 35 touchdowns, 5 interceptions.
Right. And that's what I come back to. So I know Bart's commenting what happened to Beck. He was hired by Doran. I guess he's calling out here that Beck probably is. He's saying, I think he's arguing there as Beck probably isn't totally the problem. It's got to be Doran. He hired him. And I think he's even conceding, maybe to your point, Michael, a little bit there that, Tim Beck, the offense was the exact same last year. The system didn't change. And Devin Leary still threw 35 touchdowns. And it was one of the most historic NC State offensive seasons. And this year, the only difference is you don't have Emeka Emezi and you don't have Akeem Ekwonu. And, is that really that big of a difference? I don't know. I don't know. My struggle, and I kind of had this same concern last year with Tim Beck personally. I don't think he's creative enough at times.
Yeah.
I think it's too predictable in the offense. I think the talent we have at times makes the play calling look better at times than I think it might actually even be, to be honest with you. I think he has good moments, but I just think, 80% of the time you're running the ball on first down. That's too predictable, and it's not anything super creative with running the ball, in my opinion. I think when it's, a lot of times you don't really get a ton of yardage on second, going into second down. So you're getting third and you're not converting much on second down. So you're usually getting 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12. And, let's, instead of having to throw to the sticks, I feel like a lot of times we're just throwing screens and
you got to bust one or two.
Right. And unless you're counting on your blocking by your receivers, which I don't really think has been that great, those play calls are high probability you're not going to convert. And I don't like that kind of play calling. I mean, there's probably a deeper philosophy there than I probably understand. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, but I know you have to get to the line. You have to get to the first down marker, and calling a play, if you're 3rd and 10 and you're throwing a ball 2 yards, almost horizontally to try to get your receiver to make a move.
Yeah.
To get 8 yards. I just don't like that.
Yeah.
It's just it happens too much.
Everything has to be perfect on a play to really be successful. It's just hard to, it's just hard.
And I see Alex Chappell's comment here. Our offense was deep when Drinkwitz was here. I disagree with that too, kind of. I haven't seen offense that has been really dynamic between Matt Canada, between Elijah Drinkwitz, and between Tim Beck. And maybe I'm wrong, but I just haven't really, maybe I'm asking too much. Maybe, I get that, but I I don't know what I don't know. I don't know if I want to see more like air raid kind of stuff. The tech. I don't really think I want to see that. I just want to see more creativity than maybe what I am seeing, and maybe that's how the rest of the fans feel.
I think Drinkowitz was the closest thing we got. I mean, was he the OC the year we had the 2,000-yard receivers?
Yes,
with Harmon and Jacoby Myers.
Yes.
I
think it was his first year.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Well, we can move on from that point. I think we've kind of belabored on it. So.
Yeah, the last point I want to throw out there, and Macon, you brought it up like a week or two ago, or maybe it was one of the previews we did. I don't remember, but you said like I want to see creativity. Like you were talking about running Julian Gray and like a jet sweep or like just something. I mean, just
on a short
wrinkle, wrinkle. Like that's just like it's. We line up the same way and we run the same 4 or 5 plays, and it's like, oh, great. And then when we do get creative, it's Thayer's throwing a pass to someone.
Yeah, and I'm going to add this one last. You said you gave me the last comment. I want to give this one last comment because I thought about this. Your fans are talking about, the questions brought up here. Does Dave Doran get let go? And we're saying no, hard line, no, that's not happening. But when to argue for Dave Doran, another one, he's had consistently 8-9 win seasons. One, when's the last time that's happened at NC State? He's right. 2. He just had a 16. He tied the home record. Obviously, we think he easily should have gotten 17, right, in Boston College, but he tied a record that has not happened in 50 years. The last coach to do that was Lou Holtz, which everybody knows
who's like 80 years old now.
Right. So he made history. He's made history a lot of ways here. But my other thought is, would you rather, I've said this before, would you rather be in NC State under Dave Doran with 8-9 wins and you're always in that discussion, or would you rather be Syracuse, who has like a 4-win seasons all the time, and then they have one big season, they had like the 11 win, and they had like another 9-10 win season, and the majority of your seasons are like on average like 5 wins a season? Would you rather be Syracuse in that regard or NC State? I'd rather take NC State personally. So
yeah.
So can I counterpoint you real quick? I know we said we're done.
Yeah.
He's like 37-43 in ACC play. He's still like 5 or 6 games below 500. I may not have the exact numbers right.
But Doran,
yeah. There's your argument. There's your argument for not keeping him.
Yeah.
Right. But the only thing is,
darn you, Greg.
The thing with the overall record though is like football is separated into seasons. So like, yeah, he had 2 seasons he went 0-8 in the ACC. So that's obviously gonna make that look worse. But he's had 4 seasons where he's been at least 5 wins, 5-3 or better in the ACC as well. So I don't know. It's
Sorry, guys. So I'm. I think we can move on from that. But yeah, just so you know, like it's going to be it wasn't a bad loss. It was just something we thought would definitely happen. This Louisville game, I don't think anybody really expected. She just tweeted out. I mean, it was just just thinking that it's not going to be a really good. We didn't really see a lot of it being a win that we could get. But I think going into this Carolina game, however, we've done the preview for this game. Y'all will see that soon. But I'm really, I don't see State winning this Carolina game personally. Maybe you guys feel differently. But I will say there are some things that I think give State, fall in State's favor. Naturally, the way you may want to play. But I don't know how you guys would feel about this. I just don't see us winning games with a QB3, QB4. Greg, Michael, what are your thoughts on that?
Greg, you can go ahead.
Yeah, it's we've been putting this season mostly on our defense's shoulders, and we have to quote unquote play perfect. And Dave even mentioned this in his press conference. I think it was post game on Saturday. And our defense, while playing well, I mean, we gave up 25, but 7 of that was not on the defense. So, you held them to 18 points. We can't score enough points, and that's the bottom line. You have to score more points than the other team. And now playing this Carolina team with a lot of offense.
I saw a stat today that said if we averaged 26 points per game, which would be like 80th in the country, we would be 10-1.
Yeah, and that's not a whole lot, right? I mean, that's
And our
like
defense has given up less than
4
20 a game.
touchdowns, less
Yeah.
than 4 touchdowns. So
Honestly, I don't even think you need to score that many because our defense going into the last week was only giving up like 19 or 20 points a game. So you only
Yeah.
need 21.
the offense is just not doing enough for the defense, right?
Yeah.
Defense is trying to play, and honestly, they're probably just getting worn out by the third and midway through the third and fourth quarter, guys. I mean, it's just part of it. But
And think about this: if we didn't have Chris Dunn, we'd be averaging like 12 points a game.
Yeah.
yeah. But see, here's my thought. So tell me what you guys think. I don't see State winning this game against Carolina, but it's a rivalry game. Let's preface that. Crazy things happen in rivalry games. I don't think anybody thought. I think people thought going in the game last year, State would win or could win. I don't think they thought it would happen like that.
Honestly, if I can just pause you, if you had to take the records, take the team name away from it, I think you would 1,000% say that this would have been reversed, that we would have the 9-2 record and they would have the 7-4 record.
Yeah.
Say that one more time. Make sure I understood that.
Yeah. So if I told you that this game would feature a 9-2 record versus a 7-4 record, you would say State would be 9-2 coming in this game and Carolina would be 7-4
based on what?
The season.
Beginning of the season.
Yeah.
Beginning of the season. Yeah, 100%. Because you didn't think Carolina had a quarterback, right?
Right.
And there's a difference. Carolina's pretty much they're the
opposite of us.
We've heard they've had a little bit of injuries, but not this many key pieces, right? And they have their quarterback, right?
No, this is a complete opposite team, right? Like our defense is our strong point. Their defense is horrible. Our offense is not great. Their offense is really good. Like, that's literally the game in a nutshell.
Literally on PFF grading, they're literally have the number one passing offense in the country. Literally, and they're ranked first in the country in passing the offense.
And defense, they are, I think, 7th worst. Like out of 131 teams, they're ranked 124th. I don't know. I don't know what to expect because it's it's strength on strength and weakness on weakness.
Are you guys more interested to watch their offense versus our defense? Or are you more interested to watch our offense against their defense?
I thought you were going to ask if I was more interested to watch Michigan versus Ohio State. That's what I really thought you were going to ask me.
No, there's no other game on this weekend base NC State versus Carolina. You guys know that.
No,
I'm sorry. What was the question? I tuned.
No, I asked. Are you more interested in seeing our defense versus their offense, or are you more interested to see our offense versus their defense? Like
no
weakness on weakness. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah. No, I think that's who wins the game, right? Who is the weaker? Who is the less weaker of the weak units?
Yeah. Can State score against their defense, right? I almost wonder if that's, I've been wondering that. I do think it's going to come down to I go back and forth on it.
Defense is going to have to show out. I mean, the defense is going to have to set up the offense for something good, or we're going to have to kill it on special teams.
Yeah, and Benjamin makes a point that I would make too. It may be the best defense Carolina's played all year. I mean, and they played a decent, good defense with Notre Dame, and they lost. Mm-hmm. And so they just lost to Georgia Tech, with Georgia Tech playing their QB3, and I mean they ran
the ball really well though.
Right. Well,
yeah.
They lost that game, and I just don't. Here's my other thoughts. Okay, so State has had Michael Allen emerged. I think the part that breaks us though a little bit is the offensive line is struggling a little bit, but State won't run the ball, and a way you beat a team with a dynamic offense is you slow down the offense. Mm-hmm. You slow down your offense, keep their offense off the field, which State naturally wants to do. I think with a QB3, QB4, sure. You're not overwhelming your QB. You want to run the ball to drain the clock down, which would actually play into State's favor offensively. What they want to do at this point, because they don't feel as comfortable throwing the ball. The key is going to be converting and
keeping your offense on the field.
I just don't know if that's. I don't know if that's something that we can do consistently right now.
I don't know if this translates, but we need to pull out Dean Smith's four corners offense before the shot clock existed, right? But that's how they won basketball games back in the day. They would just hold the ball for 20 minutes before they shot it. And then, basically you want to limit the amount of possessions the other team has.
I think if Carolina scores 20, 23
Oh, it's
points,
done.
I think it's over. I
It's
think we have to
done.
hold them under 20.
Under 20.
But I will say, to your point, we talked about earlier. I think State's going to need to go with Ben Finley in this game. The last game he started was at Carolina, right? At Carolina.
Well, I don't think
That wasn't
started
good,
that
though.
one. I think
he was good. I know. And it was a COVID game. It was a COVID game too, right? So
yeah,
we got destroyed.
But I think running the ball will be something we're going to want to do. I just don't know. And I know there's nothing about MJ yet. I think people think he's done for the season. He very well may be, but he's not been ruled out completely yet. He's still in the depth chart. So let's say he can play. I think all bets are off, right? I think if he can play, I think it definitely you're going to be like, okay, well now you got MJ versus May, and
you just don't know how
your ability to throw the ball is going to be much better, in my opinion. So,
yeah, and we probably should move on to a couple other things. But if MJ is somehow able to play this game, you don't know how effective he's going to be, how mobile he's going to be.
I don't see him playing. Nothing about this tells me he's going to play.
I don't, unless he pulls some kind of miracle, but. We don't know exactly what was done and the severity of it, and how much they had to do to get him right. But just the mere fact that I don't know.
He is on the depth chart is all I'm getting at. He's there. It's just a thing where I think you have to if you have to pick between Chambers and Finley. I think at this point you got to go Finley.
It's got to be Finley because you're going to have to throw the ball to win this game. You're going to have to score points. The one thing you did mention the depth chart, Sumo and Grant have officially been taken off the depth chart, so that would sound like they're done at this point.
But what does that mean for guys like Devin Carter and Tyler Baker Williams? Are they potentials to come back? Maybe. Yeah.
I mean, maybe at some point, right? Maybe I don't know. Like if
Trent Penix, is he back? Doran is so private about those things. You just don't ever
don't talk to me about injuries. It's private.
Literally, that's what he said.
Right. Yeah. It's a sensitive subject for Greg, the injuries.
And he usually doesn't take them off the depth chart unless they're out for the season. So
it's a chess match, right? So
that's all it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm excited about it. I do think there are some things that will naturally go, lean in State's favor. State's going up against the weakest defense they'll have played all year. So even if they've struggled running the ball to this point, they're also going against the worst, literally the second worst rushing defense in the ACC, and literally the worst passing defense.
But I don't know. One other thing I'll throw out there we haven't even talked about. Has anyone looked at the weather for Friday?
Friday is raining.
It's supposed to be nasty. Exactly right.
So that kind of helps State too a little bit there, right? You think?
Yeah.
So, I didn't think about that. So, but that's a good point. I didn't think about that. Is it gonna be cold too, right?
No, it's about mid-50s. It's not as bad as freaking Louisville this past weekend. My goodness, it was like 37, 38 with a wind chill of like 31. It was redonkulous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right now, it's saying probably gonna be a light rain on Friday. Actually, let me check here in Chapel Hill.
Yeah, I didn't look at it this morning, but it was like a 91% chance of rain. But it's been fluctuating. It's been up and down. So we'll see. I mean, obviously, I know old in game here. He's our weather guy, but I don't know. I don't know what it's looking like, but I think he said we'll know.
Yeah, it's looking like here, and you can correct us in game, but it's I'm seeing here it's like a light rain between like 3 and 7 o'clock and mid 50s, like you're saying, Greg. So enough to make the ball slippery, and make you maybe not want to run the ball and throw the ball as much. So, but I guess Greg, we didn't have you on the preview. Do you have a score prediction for this game?
Carolina a lot, State not enough.
It's very specific.
Very specific. I don't even know. See, that's the problem. Like, I don't even know where we're at right now. Like, I mean, I don't think State's going to win. I hope I eat those words and I will put like a whipped cream and cherry on top of it.
Layton would hate watching us right now because it'd be like, guys, you're not being positive enough, but we're being real, right? So
I mean, you have to be real
at this point. Yeah,
you have to be real. That's what our fans deserve. Our realness, our rawness of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they score 30 plus on us and we score like less than 20.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we had something similar. Both me and Mike had something similar in our preview. But I will say, and for that preview that we're going to have coming out this week, got a couple of them, guys. I will say that we had Will from Great Day Tar Heel, who I will say, for a Carolina fan, he's all right. I mean, he's been really good.
As much as you can say about him, he's all right.
All right. Now, he's
That's
a fair. He's a fair fan. You know, it's one of those like he's all right. He's all right. Like he's all right. Like he's fine. He's good. Like he's fair. He complimented a lot of things. He actually is concerned. He said from a Carolina fan's perspective, he said, we're actually don't even know what we are what happened and why it happened. And, you know, they just lost to a QB3 Georgia Tech team. Georgia Tech is not better than NC State, guys. I don't care who you is. So their QB3 just beat Carolina at Carolina when a game that meant that should have been like a chip shot for them, just like we thought Boston College would have been for us. So if State's better than Georgia Tech, and if Georgia Tech can go into Carolina and win, you know, I don't know if it was because, you know, Carolina overlooked Georgia Tech. They could just play easily and go.
I mean, they were up too. They were up 17-0 in that game.
Yeah, I know. They just choked. And I don't know what happened.
Well, they had that drop pass.
I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah.
2 thumbs up.
If State can't win, I'm glad Carolina didn't either. So,
and if Georgia Tech had just beaten Miami the week before, Georgia Tech would have won the Coastal after beating Carolina. They would have the tiebreaker over them.
Isn't that insane?
Yeah,
that's how bad the Coastal is.
But you know what?
Well, we would have had to beat
goodbye next year. Goodbye next year, right? That's the end of the Coastal. So,
true story.
But yeah, my point was that Will from Great Day Tar Heel, he was actually concerned about Carolina going this game. He's like more perplexed. He was like, I don't really even know what happened. And he said the fan base feels really like uneasy right now. And
you think they show up?
Friday in the rain after Thanksgiving? I think they'll be there. I think there'll be enough. I don't think it'll be packed. I don't think it'll be full like you think it is, but I think they know going into this game, they probably are the favorite. And I think the line is
for them.
Right. Their line is by 6, right?
That's true.
I think the rain will keep some people away. I think you would actually see more NC State fans. I think you would see NC State fans there more than you would Carolina fans. Like the rain would keep NC State fans away less, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right. And I didn't even think about the students being on break part of it. So in games like they have 26 seats left, that doesn't mean anything. It's like even sometimes State saying they sold out, any stadium say they sold out is like they have like these big companies that buy them off and whatever. So
they're out there. Out there.
That's what our take is on the football front, guys. Let's touch base in the last 10 minutes or so here on some other sports. Let's go to men's basketball and women's basketball. Men's basketball, 4-0 right now. They've beaten Campbell and Elon. Some games that I think kind of got a little tight there.
Closer than you would like.
Make it a little bit uneasy, but they pulled it out, and it was a solid win there. I think you were seeing a team under Kevin Keats this year with guys like Jarkel Joyner, Terquavian Smith, Jack Clark, DJ Burns, Casey Morsell has emerged, in my opinion.
Good.
Yeah. 26 points the other night.
Mohoric, I got it right. Mohoric,
yeah. There you go. This team is dynamic offensively, guys.
They won't be last in the ACC.
No, and I can tell you the only thing that at this point to me, the concern would be, what can they do defensively? Can they put something together defensively?
Those dribble drives,
because I don't think you're going to have any trouble scoring this year, in my opinion. I mean, you could, but I think you've got too many players that can score this year and that have shown it already in big numbers. And I say that we play Kansas Wednesday at noon. It'd totally be like
it's going to be a good test. Yeah,
right. But
neutral court, and it won't be a big crowd. So that is the
Bill Self's first game back from suspension, though.
That's a good point.
True.
Yep. So
I did see during the game, I guess it was the Elon game, which we're talking about defense, which hasn't been like shutdown defense, but I don't think it's ever going to be a shutdown, lockdown defense under Keats. But the one thing they did say was State leads the ACC in turnovers forced and steals, that's how Keats likes to play defense. Get the turnovers, get out on the fast break.
And specifically, I think Terquavian, I think he leads the ACC, or at one point before the Elon game at least, he led the ACC and was second in the ACC. And I can't remember which one it was, but it was either steals or assists. Like for Terquavian Smith, who was just a scorer last year, for him to be leading the ACC in top 2 at least in both those categories, that's
great.
A huge development for him to be able to create for others, and having a point guard like Jarkel who can now score and help distribute. Casey Morcell even, can, do stuff with the ball in his hands a little bit. I like this. You could be, guys, you thought it was bad. You could be Louisville and Florida State now.
State,
yeah. Haven't won a game.
And let's be real, Carolina has struggled. Like they
almost lost to Gardner Webb.
Yeah.
But they were down by 4. They were up by 4, excuse me, with a 4-point lead with like 3 minutes,
3 or 4 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Syracuse had a bad loss against Colgate. Second year in a row they lost to them.
But I mean, golly, Louisville and Florida State, you're a combined 0-7.
Yeah,
you don't want a game this year.
Yeah.
And I will say this: the only limelight I would say is, if you're going to be bad, now's the time to be bad, right?
You can get right. You still got time.
Right.
But
you lose these games. But
no, I was going to say, but that's going to hurt come March, though, when you're looking at tournament resumes.
I know, but you'd rather be bad now and figure it out, as the time goes on, rather than be good now and suck later, right? So,
what's your expectation for Wednesday? Like what is what do you
want to see out of the team?
Yeah,
I want to see a team that is competent on both sides of the ball. And what I mean by that is I don't want to see a team that is putting up poor shot selection. I want to see mature. I want to see poise. Maybe it's a good word for it. I want to see a good attack, good shot selection on offense. I want to see aggressiveness on defense. I want to see that. I think this team is athletic and long enough to do that.
I want to see how they respond to adversity.
Yeah, it's going to come. It's going to come.
You haven't really.
Kansas is 6th in the country, right? So
5, 3. They're 3 now.
Oh,
the new
Kansas
came out. New poll came out. They're 3 today. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, Kansas is ranked 3rd. I mean, they won Keats' first year. They won in a similar tournament and beat Arizona, who was number 2, right? Top. So they're number 2. I remember that. So. So that's what I expect. I want to see poise. I want to see good shot selection. By the way, one of you guys can look up. Benjamin's asking for an ice pack update. But I want to see good shot selection. I want to see aggression on defense. I want to see communication on defense, switching, calling out screens. I think specifically, I don't want to see DJ Burns get lost defensively. I know he's lost. He needs to lose weight still, but I just think I want to see turnovers. I want to see that. I just think being able to ask for aggressiveness and communication on defense is probably what I like to see this early on, because if they can do that, then that's a good sign in my opinion. Even if they were to lose.
State's down 3-2 with probably about 11 minutes left. This update just came out 12 minutes ago. Carolina scored, so they're probably about
ice pack.
Yeah.
Okay, so Carolina's up 3-2 on State.
With about 10 minutes, I would say.
Yeah,
in the 3rd.
All right, let's shift over to women's basketball, guys. That was an ugly game. I know. So for those who are listening, State went up and had a rematch against UConn at UConn. And it was number 5 UConn versus number 10 NC State. And again, they played each other in, was it the Sweet 16?
Elite 8.
Elite 8 going to a Final Four. And State got just the short end of the stick, for lack of better words, to be able to have a 2 seed going and playing basically at UConn on the road to go play for a Final Four. It was like a home environment, right?
We were a 1 seed and they were the 2 seed, but
yeah, and it favored them dramatically, home advantage. And State lost that game and finished in the Elite 8, which is still an accomplishment, but there's no way they should have been there. So State was looking at this matchup as a revenge game and went up to UConn. And it was, I can't remember what the score was, but it was like a 25-point loss, somewhere in there, 30-point loss.
Yeah. It was, I think the final was 91-69.
Okay, so 22 points. Yeah.
And the first half was UConn got off to like I think a 9-0 start.
Yep.
We cut it to 3 with about a minute and a half, 2 minutes left in the half, and then UConn went on another little 4 or 5-0 run to end half. So they were up by almost 10 at half, and then came out.
It was 7. I think it
was
40. I think it was 40 to 33 at halftime.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they cut it to 36-33, and then UConn scored 2 right at the end. We couldn't get anything, and then second half just came out flat, and
they shot the ball. I mean, Connecticut shot the ball 50%, and they were like 37-38%.
That's tough to
from
beat
3
on a home court.
Well, yeah, especially, I mean, those turnovers obviously played a big part in their shooting percentage. There was a lot of layups, a lot of easy baskets. Fudd for Connecticut just straight up crushed us. We just didn't have an answer for her.
So
and I'll tell you, here's another big stat line here that I think there's a few of them here. I'll read them off to you for that game.
While you're doing that, my stat line, Jakia Brown-Turner, 4 fouls and only like 3 or 4 points.
That's pivotal for the game.
That's tough. I mean, we're not going to win games when arguably your best player shooter is.
Yeah, but here, look at this number. Here you go. UConn, 22 assists to our 9.
Yeah.
Our 9, 22 to 9. Okay. UConn steals. UConn had 13 steals to our 3.
Yeah, it was bad.
Blocks. UConn had 3 blocks for our 1. That's not such a big deal to me.
The rebounding was basically even. I think they outboarded us by 37-36.
We out rebounded them. I'm looking here. At least my stat, my app here, it's 34 to 33. Offensive rebounds were dead even at 10. But here's another one that's just not acceptable to me. And this kind of comes back to the assists, right? The assist number was 22 to 9. The fast break points, UConn had 22 fast break points to our 9.
Yeah, they had
points off turnovers.
Steals.
Yeah, 13 steals, points off turnovers. UConn had 27 to our 9.
What are you looking at? Like, my stat line is different. That's weird.
Might be a little bit off, but it's the score app.
Score app is good. Yeah.
Like ESPN had something different, so whatever. It doesn't.
Defensive rebounds are about dead even. It's just an ugly game. They just played much better basketball. They were passing it better. They were getting turnovers. They were getting more blocks. They were scoring on the turnovers. They were playing in transition, it looks like. So, and if you're shooting 50%, golly, that's hard to beat, especially when you're shooting decent at 34% from 3. So State shot 37% from field goal and 25 from 3. That's not going to get done. So
here's the one thing, and we can end on this or maybe jump to the cross country for a few seconds. But this is we have been spoiled by the class that just left. This is and I said it on a tweet earlier in the season. I mean, we're only 5 games into it, but this is going to be a work in progress for Wes. There's a lot of new parts, trying to get rotations figured out, what combos work with who. As much as I love Camille Hobby, I think River Baldwin is just a better center. It just seemed like the offense flowed a little better with her in there. Camille is great on defense. So I don't know. But that's just my 2 cents on that. There's still a ton of basketball left. Look, we're getting ready to play Iowa this week, or Sunday.
Get a get right game for you if you want.
They've got
a little tournament. Yeah,
you've got 4 more Power 5 non-conference games, so there'll be plenty of time, opportunity, tests before you even get into conference play.
And then the last thing we'll say about this before we move on is they did drop 3 spots to number 13 in the country. So
that's fair.
Yep. Hey, but Louisville lost a couple of games, so.
They did. I didn't see that.
You mean? Yeah.
I
thought you were talking about men's or women's, but men's definitely is losing games. They haven't won a game. So
no, they lost to Marquette, and I don't know if they beat or lost to Texas yesterday. I didn't see that. But,
who won that Stanford game?
I don't know. I saw it go to overtime, but I don't think
I think Stanford. I think South Carolina won, but I think they barely
I think South
won.
Carolina because they were still 1-2 in the polls. So
it was like 73-71, I think, about to go into overtime, or it did go into overtime, but I think South Carolina did win.
Yeah.
But anyways, to wrap this up, let's highlight the biggest news and maybe we should have let it off with this, but I know everybody's thinking football with UNC and the game. But huge news for the athletic department and specifically women's track. Another national championship, guys. I mean, we're talking
team,
and then
And
Caitlin Toohey had another individual national title. Caitlin Toohey has 2 individual national titles.
Yeah.
How many players in NC State history I can ever say that? I think she might be the only person who can say that.
It has to be because we only won 2 national championships before cross country, 74 and 83. None of those guys were on the same team.
She is literally the only NC State athlete in NC State history to have, I think, well, maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, because there's some individual sports out there, so we definitely need to fact check.
Yeah.
She's the only individual.
She's one of them.
She's the only person that has 2 team national championships. You can definitely say that.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I'm getting.
We only have 4.
I am hyping her up because it's a big deal. I'm just
the person that comes to mind is what's his face, Gwiz from wrestling.
Correct.
He might have 2.
Nick Wisdowski.
Yeah. He might have 2.
Yeah. But she's the only one that team because we only have 4 team national championships in the history of sports.
All that to say, guys, she in women's cross country, women's track and field, they're just. You want to talk about dynasty? I think we talked this a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
It is an absolute dynasty they've got. Just like you might think Clemson has in the Atlantic, or you might think UConn has in women's basketball. State's women's track cross country, they are absolutely dominant. I think they won 7 or 8 ACC titles in a row.
Mm-hmm. 7. Yep.
That's just, guys, think about that. That's crazy. Yeah. So congratulations to them.
I was actually able to watch the race Saturday morning because I had it on ESPNU.
Yep.
And it was, this one girl from Florida just took off and got out to a lead, like a huge lead. And Caitlin Toohey just slowly just ran
away at her.
Just reeled her in.
And then beat her by 10 seconds. It was crazy. So we finished first and third.
Yeah.
And then we had 2 other runners finish in the top 30. So that was the best.
And then the real quick, the men's finished just outside the top 10. They finished 11th. Yeah. Unfortunately, the other school from North Carolina finished 10th, but we won't talk about that.
Wake Forest, no kidding.
Yeah, actually, they were really good too. I think they were top 5, but the blue one. So
yeah, I know Duke. I'm kidding.
The other shade of blue, Macon.
Come on, Macon. Yeah, I feel like that's the good. That's probably what we should end on there. But I will say this: a little teaser. NC State's baseball schedule has been released, guys. So
in it.
Go check that out. We can talk about that moving forward. But there's some good matchups here. Some home matchups. I'm going to skim through here. You got Virginia, Louisville, Florida State, Clemson. Even got a matchup with the Citadel. But I
think Notre Dame is at home
and Pittsburgh. Too. So your home ACC matchups are Virginia, Florida State, Clemson, and Pittsburgh. So
and then a 1-game ECU. I was always at home and home with them. So for non-conference.
Yeah, but the in-state rivalry games are on the road this year. You got at Wake Forest and at UNC. But just go and check those out, guys. It'll be good to get tickets there. There's some nice pieces on that team, so I'll let that be for moving forward. But guys, that's going to wrap up our show tonight. I really appreciate you guys taking time to watch the show and join us here and commenting and asking questions. It really helps us enjoy the show. I think it adds to the show a lot when you guys are involved. So. Again, recap: NC State versus UNC this Friday, 3:30 on ABC, nationally televised game. Be sure to watch. Get all that turkey eaten before then if you can be there. I'm sure it'd be awesome to see the red in the stands. And
State Wednesday. Go ahead.
Yeah, State men's basketball is a Wednesday game at noon, which is so random, but it's a noon game against Kansas.
Yeah. And then we do play Thursday, Friday also.
Correct. Thursday women play
against
in Mexico.
Vanderbilt.
Yep.
And against Vanderbilt.
And then West Virginia on Friday.
Yep. So we got games Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, guys, for NC State. Wednesday is men's basketball. Thursday is women's basketball. Friday is football. So big week, particularly when it comes to men's football. I mean, the men's football team. So be sure to check in those guys. And again, be sure to like and subscribe to this channel. Follow us on Twitter. Share it around. We really want to build this NC State community here. And it's awesome, guys. I really appreciate that. And if we don't see you or you don't hear from us, we hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving with your family. Again, make sure to let your family know how much you love them and just enjoy being with family and friends. So with that being said, guys, we will sign off here. But as always, go
to heck, Carolina.
Go to heck, Carolina. It's fair to say that. All right, guys. See y'all later.